All right, sorry about that. There should be audio now. That was my fault. I forgot to set that up beforehand because I made a whole new scene for us. So, hope you can hear us. It looks like you can hear us. Anyways, without further ado, here is my good friend RossRickson. Please tell me, how have you been recently? Are you fucking with me?
Yeah, totally.
Oh my god. Oh, you're a pain.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, no, I've been good, man. I've been good, thanks. Yeah, I took a week out, just from the grind and all that, because like it's just I don't know about you, but I find content creation can be such like a mental drain. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I just like when I almost found myself like in a state where I was literally making content for content's sake, and I was talking to people just for the sake of talking, to keeping a presence up. I wasn't doing it
Yeah.
I wasn't doing it because I cared, and that's not what I want to be about, right? So I decided, you know what?
Yeah.
I was only going to be able to do one stream this week anyway because I had a lot of personal circumstances, and I was like,
Okay.
you know what? Let me just take five. Let me just take five from the whole thing, and let me just come back refreshed so I can actually smash it when I actually do it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I feel that. Okay. So, I wanted to ask you how your job interview went, if you don't mind me asking.
Not on stream, bro. Don't do this to me.
Okay.
I'm joking. Yeah, no, it went really well actually. I actually got a job. Like
Okay.
I got one in the week because I had an interview that was thrown at me on the day of, and I went into the job,
Hmm.
and it was literally Amazon delivery, just like delivering parcels, right? It was like, right,
Yeah.
okay, let me be a slave for Bezos for money. So
Jesus.
yeah, it literally was, man. It was like 120 deliveries a day. It worked out like the amount of hours I'd work was,
Oh, damn.
yeah, it was like 5 minutes a delivery. That was the
How is that
time
even
frame.
possible?
You'd find a way, right? So I
I
still have that
guess.
lined up because because this job interview I did on Friday went amazingly well, and I am hopeful of hearing back this week. Early this week, they said they'd ring the successful candidate. So, but I had to keep this
Okay.
other job just in like escrow, as it were, just in case,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, that
plan
makes
for every
sense.
eventuality, right?
Yeah. How's it going, Squidrant? I hope you're doing well. Before we continue, I just wanted to like let you guys know that I won't be focusing on the chat too much today because this is kind of like an interview podcast type thing, so we're just gonna be focusing on each other really.
On me.
On each other really.
Yeah,
All
man.
right, so let's get into it. Personal growth. That is one of the main topics I wanted to talk about today.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, what do you define personal growth as?
For me, personal growth is how can I put this? Personal growth is your own expectations of where you want to be in life, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be. A lot of people, when they when they think of personal growth, they think of it as just your work life, right? They think of
Hmm.
it as just that's what they mean by personal growth. But personal growth, especially as I've grown older, has come to mean so much more to me. Like, my emotional development over the years has been exceptional. I'm nowhere near the. I'm still an asshole in many regards, but not the kid that I grew up as. Right, I'm very
Yeah.
mature. I'm calm. I deal with a lot better than I used to, say, when I was like 25. Now I'm 29,
Hmm.
and I've seen a lot of situations and a wide variety of situations, right? So now you can, once you've got that experience, you know how to adapt to situations on the fly a lot easier. Whereas when you're younger and you get new experiences, they tend to make you just lash out, right? Or at least I did, where I would just like
Yeah.
my brain would go like, I don't know what to do, get mad. you know.
No, yeah, I
But,
completely understand that.
yeah. So to me, personal growth is twofold. You know, I mean, you've got obviously work life, and that also encompasses in it your educational growth, like how smart you are, what you've learned.
Yeah.
So there's that, but there's also the emotional side of growth, which is just, you know, exactly how I described. How are you emotionally stable? How are you emotionally able to Ross has a Shrexy beard. Sorry, that threw me. How you were emotionally able to deal with the various situations of life that come at you, right?
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Mm. Well,
I would agree with that, honestly. I feel that that is pretty damn accurate.
mm.
So, what what's the word I'm looking for here? What methods have you used to like strengthen or rather develop your personal growth that you feel might be able to help others?
Hallucinogenics.
We here on the High and Noble channel do not, in fact, condone the use of hallucinogenics for personal growth. Small disclaimer. Now, please, Ross, continue.
So, I don't recommend kids do drugs, but I did my first experience with acid when I was about 19, and
Okay.
that gave me that opened my mind up to a lot of things. You know, the whole theory that we are like energy experiencing itself in a conscious manner all at one, and we're matter condensed into a slow vibration, things like that. That opened my eyes up to that school of thinking a lot. Obviously, there's more to it. Like now, obviously, I'm a sober person now, because
Yeah.
I think what am I sober for now? 13 months sober, and I would say one of my best
Congratulations.
Thank you, man. Thank you. One of my biggest one of my biggest helps to personal growth has been sobriety. Right, I would recommend it to anybody who finds that they haven't got a handle on themselves mentally, if they're not sure how they are.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely say sobriety has helped me maintain a calm mindset and helped me grow exponentially as a human, like far faster than I have in 10 plus years of drinking and doing drugs. Like in the last year alone, I've set up my own content creation lifestyle, essentially, if you want to call it that. And you know, I have YouTube, which is like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, semi getting there. I've got all these I've got, you know, my Twitch channel, everything, stuff that I never thought I would ever do because I lacked the self-confidence and all these things when I was a kid,
Yeah.
or when I was drinking and doing drugs. You know, I mean, obviously, like I've spoken about, at length about it before. Like I was a huge cocaine user for a long time, and that definitely messed with
Mm-hmm.
my mental state quite a lot. You know, suffered from
Yeah.
panic attacks, etc., etc. And with the absence of that, it just really strengthened my ability as a human to look back, take stock of my life, and go, right, this is what you need to do now. This is how you need to move. This is, you know, before all of that, I was kind of like, I would only even say coasting through life. I was stumbling through life, just walking into one lamppost after another, right? And after that,
Mm-hmm.
things really have really taken off. So for me, yeah, personal growth is directly attributed to sobriety because it's a mindset that you put yourself in, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, I completely understand that.
Mm.
I myself have smoked weed for years now, and
No.
just recently, I've quit.
Oh, really?
It is, yeah.
You
I
have to
think the
change your
past
name.
2 weeks, I have not smoked. I mean, eventually,
I have to change
but
your
then I'll
name
have to
now.
go get this fucking redone. So no,
Dry and noble.
thanks. I hate it.
Sorry, carry on.
So yeah, like I would agree with you tremendously that even though it hasn't been half as long, anywhere near as long, the fact that I've stopped smoking already has helped me clear up my mind so much. Like I don't feel like always walking through a fog. I don't feel like my
Mm.
thoughts are clouded. I feel a lot more confident in myself too because it's not like I'm always questioning myself about things because I'm always just so fucking high all the time. And so yeah, I
It's a
really
motherfucker.
agree with that.
So High All the Time is like one of my favorite 50 Cent songs.
Jesus.
But no, that's really good. Big up to you, man. That's a big step to take in your life, right? Because
Yeah, yeah, it wasn't easy.
especially for you, that's because I mean that's your whole persona essentially, right? So to cut off a huge part of your persona takes a lot of stones, and it's
Yeah.
you'll really notice the difference, man. Do you have you had the lack of sleep yet?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was up all night. Like I was up until 4 a.m. watching the Bill Nye versus Ken Ham debate just because I couldn't sleep.
Wow,
So
wow.
yeah, like I'm already getting there. I see. I've quit before, and
Mm-hmm.
I've gone through like the whole marijuana withdrawal, and it was
Mm.
not fun. And that was actually kind of what was stopping me from quitting beforehand,
Yeah.
because like I had this fear in my mind that I was gonna have to go through that again, and it was not a fun experience. So I just would rather continue
Mm.
to smoke. But I realized like long term, it's gonna damage me more than if I were to just deal with this 1 week of feeling like crap, and then like from there on, I'll feel a lot better.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no. I mean, and I bet you do, right? You feel fantastic right now after putting the blood down.
Honestly, yeah, I feel so much better. Like my energy levels are insane now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
My thoughts are coming to me a lot more quickly, much more clearly, and it just feels better, you know?
Yeah, you're responding a lot faster on Discord.
Shut up. Okay.
Yeah, man. No, it's great, right? It really is. I mean,
Hmm.
um, it's the thing with weed is like, and I will never regret a day I smoked weed because some of the best times of my life were on weed. But weed does so much damage to you mentally that I still think we don't understand fully. Like, I definitely believe smoking weed as much as I did contributed to my anxiety, my depression, and just my general almost. I'm trying to think of a better word for it, but I can't right now. But coward-like mindset where I was just afraid of confrontation because weed just makes you so passive and like nervy and you gas
Yeah.
yourself, and it's like I since I stopped doing all like that, especially, I'm not afraid to be myself as much, right? And again,
Yeah, I understand that.
I'd never shit on it. Like it's weed, right? It's a miracle drug. I don't care what anyone fucking says, but for me, it doesn't work. It doesn't work the way it's
No,
supposed
yeah,
to.
I get that. I feel like I agree with that, but like everything in moderation. Like my problem was that I was smoking every single day,
Mm.
and that would cause me to like I actually noticed the other day that like I got really angry over something that had happened in my life, and my first thought was to go smoke so that I wouldn't be angry anymore. And I
Oh,
realized how messed up that was, because it's like, well, I need a better coping mechanism than doing drugs every time I get upset by something, you know?
yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely.
And I started smoking at a very young age, like far younger than I should have, and I realized that that kind of stunted my development emotionally, because why would I need to develop emotionally if I could just smoke, you know?
I can be a kid forever.
I mean, kind of, yeah,
Yeah.
but it was more like,
Like a high Peter Pan.
um, pretty much, pretty much. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I grew, but I didn't change, you
Mm.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
get
it
what you
wasn't
mean.
until like maybe the past year or so that I've like really been focusing on growth as a person, as a human, and what I can do to be better and help
Mm.
others, you know?
Absolutely, man. Yeah. No. This is something I've literally just. I know. Yeah. This is something I've literally just seen now, right? Or just thought of now, I should say. And that is, yeah, it definitely stunted my growth emotionally because I was in the same mindset for like 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
At least it really, really slows your development as a human
Exactly.
because you just find the same things funny every day in, day out, stuff like that. And you never get out of that because weed just dampens you in a way.
Exactly. It really does.
You're not
And
good.
then I found
So,
that like when I have quit,
yeah.
if I do decide to smoke again, maybe like say once a month,
Mm-mm.
I get so much more out of it than I ever did when I was smoking every day. Like it's a completely different feeling,
Mm.
and I feel that it almost expands my mind to the sense that I think about things objectively. like in my life or whatever situation may be on my mind at the time, and I'm able to come to conclusions or have these thoughts that I wouldn't have had with my personal biases and things like that.
Mm.
But even then, it's like I feel that I need to be able to do that without the use of any substance, you know?
Yeah, definitely, man. I think I'm still trying to get to that point myself, right? Because I think
Hmm.
I'm still guilty of suppressing a lot of negative thought and emotions instead of confronting them. So I do need to start like with sober alternatives to deep thought, which obviously is
Yeah.
meditation and things like that. But it's people always say I don't have the time, and I don't have the time is a bullshit excuse. You don't have the time doesn't like you have the time. You are literally living right now. You have the time.
Exactly. It's about making the time for these
Yeah,
things.
exactly. Yeah, and that's what it is. I'm not willing to make the time. I'm not willing to make that jump yet mentally, and I need to, and I know I do. So it is something I need to look at and get on with. But it's I don't know
Yeah.
what's stopping me. I suppose it's my own fear of what I might find. Maybe.
I completely understand what you mean there.
Yeah.
It's hard to sometimes face yourself in the mirror like that.
Yeah, man. I mean, the last time I looked in the
So,
mirror, I had a line of coke on it. So.
Jesus. So you mentioned something that could be a great segue into another topic.
Yeah.
Dealing with these negative thoughts and feelings. So
Hmm.
I recently was looking into OCD and intrusive thoughts. So there's a huge misconception that OCD is simply like being obsessive about certain things. Like I have to touch this 15
Oh
times
yeah,
or
yeah.
I need to do something. Yeah. So that's not exactly the case at all. OCD also includes intrusive thoughts. Intrusive thoughts are negative thoughts that you might not want to have. Okay, no, not that you might not want, that you do not want to have. That make you feel ashamed of yourself and embarrassed for having said thoughts. A great example of this is harm OCD. So you might have thoughts of harming yourself, you might have thoughts of harming others, but the reason that you have these thoughts is because you fear that you might harm yourself or you might harm others and you don't want to. But by but the problem is that people tend to be ashamed of these thoughts and so they don't talk about these topics with others and so they're basically suffering in silence with these things. And that was not a topic that I was versed with at all.
Mm.
And it is something that I have dealt with in my life. I have found myself having thoughts that go against the very fucking moral fiber of my being.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me question myself and be ashamed of myself. Like, how dare I have these thoughts? That's so wrong. But it's a huge issue that a lot of people deal with. It's not like, only people who have extreme OCD deal with these things. It is like 80% of people in the world deal with intrusive thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest problem is that we do not talk about them.
Mm.
So, yeah, I'd like to know what your thoughts are on this.
Well, you gave me a lot to digest there, so I'll try and pick it apart one by one
Hmm.
if I can. My recall isn't the best at the moment. I'm not crisp. So
No worries, no
yeah.
worries.
So first of all, in regards to OCD, you're absolutely right. OCD does manifest itself in a million different ways. One of the ways my OCD manifests itself is I'm obsessed with like if I see say an ingrown hair or like a crack on my foot,
Hmm.
I have to get it out. It has to stop. It has to go. That's it. Done. No, like there's no. It has to go. I have literally. This is why. Also, just to loop something else in. The concept of self harm does not necessarily mean you're doing it intentionally, because I have an anxiety disorder that causes me to harm myself unintentionally, even though I know I'm doing it. Like I'm very absent-mindedly harming myself. Like my feet. If
Yeah.
I have a slight like how can I put it? Just like a slight, because I walk a lot, so I get a lot of calluses and things on my feet, right? So when
Yeah.
I notice something on my foot that I perceive as shouldn't be in there, I will cut and hack away at my foot for hours, right? And just like to the point where I have like just almost like it's just entire like chunks of flesh just taken out my foot, and that is just OCD and anxiety all rolled up into one neat little package. And that's people don't really see that side of it, because, like you said, people think OCD is just oh my god, I need to turn the light off 15 times, otherwise my brain won't function. And
Hmm.
it's not. It manifests itself in 1,000 different ways, as does everything with the human brain, right? And Yeah, what was the second part of that was in the well, it wasn't so much idealization of suicidal thoughts, right? But I mean, that's the subject I assumed you were broaching when you were mentioning, like, those type of thoughts, right?
I
And
mean, yeah,
mm,
that definitely could fall under harm OCD. That's
yeah.
another thing. There are different forms of OCD, like relational OCD. You could be constantly questioning your trust or your relationships,
Oh wow.
um, even though people have never given you reason to question these things. You know, there is what else? There's like four or five different kinds of OCD related to like different things, like harm, um, relationships. I cannot remember the other two right now.
Well, that's fine. Let's just talk about, for example, relationships, right? Now
Hmm.
that wasn't something I was aware of. That relational OCD was the thing, but undoubtedly it is. If you just look at the statistics for domestic violence, right, and the amount of people that would play on their own mind their relationship status, right? I have it myself where I constantly feel like how can I put it? I constantly feel like things go on behind my back, shall we say? And obviously they don't. But if I get it stuck in my head, I can think about it for days at a time. And it's like there's no earthly reason why it's how can I put it? Why that should be the case at all. But you just sit there and you go, I fucking know something's going on. I know it. And you don't. You don't.
I know what you
You've
mean,
never
yeah.
had any reason to believe it, but your brain just thinks it in passing thought one day, and then it latches onto it like a fucking like those
Hmm.
spiders that hide under the desert, right? And a cockroach comes along, and they're just like, "Choo."
Yep.
Exactly like that. That's how my brain works. It just like it's constantly searching for negative thoughts to latch onto, because I honestly don't think I can exist without having something to be negative about, right? If I didn't have anything to be negative about, I don't think I'd be able to function because I need something to piss me off to drive me. Which is fucking
I see.
that's crazy. That's crazy. It's like something I
Just
only
a bit,
realized
yeah,
now.
just a bit. It's funny you say that because like the other night I found this article, I should say, and it was
Mm.
saying how like we are not our thoughts,
Hmm.
but we are the ones experiencing the thoughts. And hold on, let me pull it up just to make sure I don't say anything wrong. So thoughts, excuse me,
Get it out, bro.
thoughts are practiced neurological firings that happen unconsciously, right?
Okay.
So it's not like you decide what thoughts come to your mind.
Hmm.
But the more thoughts are practiced, the more they're repeated, and those are called thought patterns. Thought patterns become your core beliefs, and core beliefs are beliefs about self, others, and the world that drives behaviors. So, that being said, it seems like one of your core beliefs is that if you cannot find something to be negative about, then you cannot function.
Mm.
But I would argue that that is a thought pattern that you have developed unconsciously.
Undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
And let me just take a second to reply to some of these. So Squidrin, I see you say that you have anxiety and depression without smoking. Let's go get high. I don't think getting high will help, to be honest. If you already suffer with these things, I'm not saying that it wouldn't, but I'm not saying that it would either. I think that if you suffer from these things, you should find ways to cope with them or to deal with them that don't involve substance abuse. Uh, Space Warrior Jose said, "In our current social climate, how would ugly people survive?" I don't know what you mean by ugly. If you mean physically, then you're just a judgmental person. Um, I don't know what else to say to that.
Ugly people would survive because they tend to be the people who generally haven't got a problem with getting their face hurt.
That's another thing. Whatever you consider, like for me, I consider ugly to be something that is inside. I consider ugly to be treating people intentionally wrong or intentionally harming others. I wouldn't consider anyone physically ugly because that would just be me being judgmental towards others, and I don't think that's okay.
There's no such thing really as physically ugly. Like the idea of beauty and the perception of beauty is realistically it's a man-made thing, right? You can find something attractive or not, but there's no such thing as ugly. Nothing's ugly, right? It's just
I agree with that completely.
things are the way they are. It's like I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some people that are downright offensive to look at, but they ain't ugly.
Okay.
Keep it together, Brian.
Self-love. Let's talk self-love.
I've loved myself about 4 times today.
Not what I meant. So first of all, let's define self-love, please.
Okay. Do you want to take the lead? Or?
For me, I find self-love as, or I would define self-love as stupid and silly as it's going to sound, loving yourself. But what I mean by that is looking at yourself the same way that you would look at a loved one in your life. I doubt that there are people that you do not have a single loved one in your life. I doubt that. There has to be at least one person that you hold affection for, that you respect, that you are looking at, and get your shit together. That you are looking at, and you would not speak to them the same way you speak to yourself. You would not put them down because you care about them, you respect them, you love them. And I'm saying that self-love is looking at yourself through that same lens. How would you define it?
For me, self-love is the concept of accepting yourself, who you are, warts and all, right? And being at peace with yourself. And that's something I take, like something that I struggle with a lot. Don't get me wrong, I have a lot of things I'm not happy about with myself. But I'm working on it. I mean, every day you're working on it, right? And in regards to that, I would say it's difficult some days to love yourself, but ultimately if you can find those days, like, and they're few and far between for me, but those days you are, cherish them, man. And just like, because it's a beautiful thing being able to wake up and just be at peace with who you are, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Something that I always like to say is I'm flawed, and that's okay. Because you're never going to be perfect, man. Or, you know, whatever idea of perfect you have. But you can at least make steps to be at peace with the things that you perceive that are wrong with yourself. So, yeah, self-love to me is finding acceptance with who you are as a person and being at peace with that.
Okay, I agree. I agree with that too. So, what methods have you come up with or learned in your life that have helped you with your journey of self-love?
Ooh.
Stop dicking around.
Oh, you love it. You love it. So,
I don't.
Oh my God, my podcast. Yeah. So, for me, honestly, exercise. Exercise really goes a long, long way to helping me accept myself for who I am, because it really helps you understand your physical limitations. I mean, obviously there's a mental aspect to self-love, because of course there is, but if you can start to like know and accept what you can do physically, you soon find that that mentality bleeds into how you think about everything else. You learn to understand your limits as a person, mentally and physically, once you start testing yourself physically. Once you get to that point, then you can start making real progress in your own head as well. And like, for me, physical fitness, even though obviously like at this point in my life I'm nowhere near where I should be physically fit, but I work a lot at it, and I understand a lot about it, and it tells me a lot about who I am that I understand, and I do the work. And it also tells me of where I need to improve as well, because there are certain things like I learned, for example, emotional eating, just to bring something into this. I learned that emotional eating is not just strictly eating because you're sad. It can be anything. Like I've eaten because like I'll eat when I'm happy. Like I'll go, let's make this even better. Let's put some food in with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or when I'm stressed, stress eating was a big one. But it all falls into the same thing. But that's something you realize about yourself, is that these are your coping mechanisms, and you learn that when you start to study a bit more about physical fitness and things like that.
No, yeah, that makes sense. So Cypher said exercise also releases endorphins, which is, great.
Oh, I love them.
But something I learned about recently is the fact that when people start working out, they find themselves getting demotivated very quickly because they feel lazy or weaker than they should, or weaker than they picture themselves to be.
Yeah.
And I found out that that is actually your brain playing tricks on you, because throughout your life, unless you've been working out or exercising regularly, you're not using every muscle group. Your brain will find hacks and cheats and ways to like do things with the least amount of effort possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
For instance, if you're lifting things, you're going to use your back rather than your arms.
Mm-hmm.
And so your brain actually does not know how to fire specific muscle groups. And that is something that it has to learn as you start working out.
Yeah.
And so that will make you feel weaker than you think or than you actually are, simply because your brain has to learn how to use these muscle groups separately from each other.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's why after about 8 weeks, you're encouraged to switch up your routine. So because your brain is a smart little bastard, and it will do everything in its power to conserve as much energy as humanly possible. Because your brain still hasn't changed from when you were a fucking caveman, essentially. Like it's still. Its root, it's still concerned about survival. So if it can save even a molecule of energy, it will. And that's just like, which is
I know that.
It's not ideal especially when you're trying to lose weight and your brain is like, oh, I might need this fat, for the inevitable COVID winter that's coming, and you're like, bro, just please, just shed.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Oh man. So that's actually something that I've been looking into myself. I have not worked out in my life much. Like, I think the most I worked out ever was in my grade 11 fitness class, or like weightlifting or weight training class.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. Like, I stopped going to the gym after school. And I think that's something I really would like to get back into. Because I've heard great things about it. And I mean, like, not heard great thing. I know that, like, exercise is good for your body. You fucking need exercise. But what I mean is that I'm starting to realize that it's much more than just physical,
Yeah, and I think this is a very understated thing with exercise, is how good it is for you mentally. And it's not just that. I mean, when you start going to the gym or whatever, when you start working out, you put yourself in different social circles with people, because you just will. It naturally happens, right? Especially if you start enjoying it, you're like, I want to do this with people, right? And now, like, Wolfie, one of my long-term supporters and a real-life friend of mine, I go to the gym with him every Saturday, right? Like, we lift weights or whatever, and we push him because he's in one of his workout routines now. He's like going as heavy as he can, just like that's his personal best day kind of thing, where he just goes as heavy as possible for as long as possible. So I try and match him with it, and we just have fun with it, right? And like it's so good for the brain just to be like with someone, just doing a workout, getting endorphins going, and just like talking about shit and just getting stuff off your chest, right? That's something we do. It's like a little like power hour where we just go, yeah, well, this has happened this week or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Or even, like, sometimes we just shoot the shit and we just, like, make each other laugh. And even just doing that, laughing while you're lifting weights is such a hugely beneficial thing to do, because it creates such a positive connotation with lifting weights or exercising in general, like, while you do it, And, like, honestly, I don't know where I'd be without exercise as a human, because it makes me feel better about myself. So I think the mental aspect of the benefits of exercising have been hugely understated for a long, long time.
No, yeah, I agree with that completely. So, going back to the question, methods of self-love. I would definitely consider that to fall under self-care.
Yeah.
So, what other ways do you care for yourself to show yourself that you do in fact love you?
No, I think about it, probably not a lot, right?
Okay.
Not a lot, because I was thinking, like, what do I actually do to prove that I love myself, right? And very little, if any. It's the actual, and I can't even this is how little I do for myself, which makes me sound like I'm like trying to come across as some paragon of virtue. Where I'm just I do thank you God for giving everyone so much and me so little. That's not it at all. That's not it at all. It's just there's very few things I do to actually take care of myself mentally. One of the things I do that is rewarding for me is genuinely helping others, when knowing that
Hmm.
what I put out into the world helps people. Like, because my whole brand, if you will, is based around mental health and the discussion of it, and the amount of
Yeah.
people that come to me privately and just say what you're doing is great, it's helping me and others so much, but all that is something that makes me feel good as a person. Helping others, that is definitely
I
one tick I can put in my column.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. And I would agree. Like I get that same feeling of feeling better about myself when I know that I'm helping others with their life or their issues. Though one problem that I have found with that is that that means that that feeling of feeling better about myself isn't actually coming from me.
Yeah,
I'm relying on others to tell me things that make me feel better about myself.
well, um that's where we would differ then, because I know I can take what people have said back with me, and I don't need it, because I know it's helping people. Like, the very nature of what I do, and like, you may not have thought about this yourself, but the nature of what you do in your existence is such that someone out there is grateful that you are alive, and they're grateful that you are around. And I think a lot of people forget that, especially when you're in like depression or whatever. I think it's very easy to forget that somewhere someone gives a huge amount of a shit about you.
No, yeah, I agree with that. It's
Mm,
funny, I actually had a conversation like that recently. I was explaining to someone that they were irreplaceable. They had it in their mind that they could be replaced. And to me, that is just a foolish concept for anyone to
yeah,
believe.
yeah,
You know, we are completely unique as human beings and we influence each other in ways that we could never imagine. And to think that you could just be replaced is in my eyes foolish because sure, someone might like push you out of their life. Someone might have someone else in the same position that you were in, but I doubt that someone can ever truly be replaced in the mind or the heart, you know?
mm, yeah, yeah. I mean,
It's
life.
like
Sorry, go on.
sorry, I was just going to add that it's like you're making more space for them rather than placing them in the place where this other person might have been.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think this is because of the. How can I put this? Excuse me, COVID. Because of the amount of people that are in the world, right, and the amount of people who have similar thoughts and feelings, I think it's very easy
Mm.
to get lost in yourself and feel like that you're just one of the crowd, right? You don't make a difference, but that's what you need to realize is every single person is unique in their own way, and every single person has made a unique impact on someone's life somewhere at some point. You have made an impact that only you and you alone could have made, with exactly who you
Exactly.
are as a person. And like, sure, you can like, sport is a great example. You can replace a player on a pitch, for example, and yeah, you might get them to do the same job, but ultimately that human element of their brain is always going to dictate that something along the line will be different. So
Yeah.
there is nobody who is replaceable in that sense, because every single person brings something unique to the table.
Exactly.
Mm.
An analogy that I'd used to explain it to them was that you can't just take a domino out of a chain and expect it to continue on the same way, you know? Or you can't replace a domino with a smaller or bigger one and think that it won't have an impact on the rest of
Exactly.
the the
The chain of
chain.
dominoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um
yeah, but that's absolutely true, bro. That's absolutely true. And I think, like, like, to reiterate the point, it is so easy. Like, I've been guilty of it myself, where it's so easy to
mhm.
think that you don't matter as a person, right? That what you do in life has no consequence. But if you remove yourself from people's lives, then you'll start to see, the change, like, or like how people go about their life, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I understand that.
yeah. Oh.
So, Ross, um,
Brian.
other than exercise, how
Mm.
about meditation? Have you tried to employ it in your life? And if so, have you reaped any benefits, any negatives, anything? Like, how has it affected you if you've used it?
I actually have a book on my shelf right now that is slowly gathering dust because I took it out, and I was gonna start reading it. And it's one of those. The thing with meditation is, it is for me at the very least, it's something that I tell myself I will do Monday. I keep meaning to bring meditation into my life because I really need to, because I think it is the benefits from what I've seen are wholesale to people who approach it with an open mind and an open heart, and I definitely want to do it, but there's a big difference between want and doing. And like I said, I have it's literally a book by, I can't remember his name right now. But it's the guy who basically invented the idea of Zen meditation and introduced it to Western cultures. So I've got that book, and I need to sit down and read it. I've tried.
Alan Watts?
Sorry. Drink your coffee.
Alan Watts?
Is it Alan Watts? No. He's Japanese.
Okay.
It's a Japanese
No, he's
name.
not.
It's a Japanese name on the book of the guy.
Oh. Okay, that makes more sense. Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine, bro. It's fine. Anyway, so I need to pull my finger out and get on it because I do want to start meditation. Actually, the person I just interviewed for my podcast recently, Rebecca Jones, she
Yeah.
right. This is the maddest thing when she came out and told me that she does meditation, because she was the last person I expected to do it, to be involved in spirituality of any degree. She's a district nurse. She has 2 children, a husband in the army, all that, you know. And
Okay.
she, like towards the end of the podcast, she says, "Yeah, no, I do meditation." I'm paraphrasing, but she says she does meditation and it's really helped her align herself mentally and really calm herself, right? Because she has anxiety, she's a naturally anxious person, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And I just found it fascinating that it could help her, and that's actually what brought my curiosity back into doing it. So I believe I've tried it once before,
Okay.
but it didn't stick. For whatever reason, it was a long time ago. It didn't stick. So I do want to try it again for sure. And when I do, you'll probably be the first person to know, because I always tell you everything, like with my spiritual side. Because I'm like, Brian, I had an
Nice.
epiphany. What about you? You a
That's
meditator?
funny. Yes, I don't meditate as often as I would like.
Mm.
It's kind of the same thing. I recently have been learning more about meditation and what exactly it means, because I had it in my mind that's like, you gotta clear out your space, clear out your mind, just sit there in the lotus position and just exist.
Good old
But
Lotus.
that's like that's a misconception, if anything. I watched a video on YouTube recently, and it was actually a monk explaining how easy it is to meditate, and all you have to do is give your monkey brain, that voice that's always just chattering, going through all these different thoughts, you give it a task.
Mm.
And the task could be as simple as breathing. So I just tell my monkey brain to focus on breathing. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. And while I do that, my subconscious is able to come out more. I'm able to experience thoughts and feelings that I was not experiencing before because they were overshadowed by the monkey brain.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be anywhere from 10 seconds, it could be 2 hours, depending on what I'm doing, how I'm feeling. But to me, that is a form of meditation that has helped me a lot.
Yeah.
And though I haven't been doing it as often as I'd like, I am starting to get more into it, especially now that I've stopped smoking. I find that it's helping me a lot to deal with these negative emotions and feelings, because, like, withdrawal from marijuana isn't exactly the worst, but I do find myself insomniac, jaded, just irritable in general, and I don't want to feel those things, so I focus on the mood that I would want to be in,
Yeah.
and eventually I find myself in that mood.
Mm. Yeah, no, that sounds pretty much what meditation does for you, and I really want to approach it myself, because I just need to, man. Like, I mean, it's one of those things where like something has prevailed since the dawn of time, or however long it has been. I'm not an expert on the subject of meditation. I'm not going to pretend I am.
Yeah.
But if it's still around to this day and it's an ancient technique, there is something to it. There must be.
Exactly.
There's like people haven't just it's not died away and it's been reborn. It has always been there. Why is that? Like that is something.
Yeah, it is a constant.
Yeah, exactly. So it need this is what kind of bugs me about especially Western culture, where it's like we're so quick. If it's not a pill or a powder, we're so quick to dismiss it. As a remedy for especially mental ailments, right? Because I think we can learn a shit ton from Eastern practices.
Oh yes.
On how they approach on how they approach it. So yeah, for me, it's something I'm gonna I'll say this to you now, world exclusive. Ross is gonna meditate on Monday, which is tomorrow.
You heard it here first.
Scoops,
oh,
bro.
Boy.
Scoops.
So let me ask you, if you were to give someone some advice, or not someone, give the people some advice on how to deal with intrusive thoughts, or rather having a low self-image, what are a couple tips and tricks that you could give the people?
Put the fork down. No.
I mean, it sounds harsh, but he's not wrong.
Yeah, no. I mean, the thing is, right, how can I put this? There are a million things you could do to improve yourself, but only you knows exactly what you need to do. Everyone who's looking for self-improvement, I don't know where to start, for example, is why don't you just start and just go do it? Just start, for you, it was, for example, you've improved yourself recently. How? You just put the blunt down, right? And there you go. You've made a positive life improvement. There is no all-encompassing magic words that can be said to get somebody to improve themselves. You know exactly what you need to do. You just need to do it. That is the word. That is what I would say. Whatever you need to do to change who you are, if you're not happy, do it. Right? It took me forever to understand Shia LaBeouf and the reason he did that fucking performance piece, right? And I was like, why has he done this? And then the more I think about it, right, it's actually genius. Right?
He really is, yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at this guy's actually he's literally screaming the word "do it" because he's representing the internal monologue that you have every day. I didn't it took me so long to realize that, but when I did, it's I tell myself every day, do it. I do.
Do it, yeah.
I repeat that to myself a lot, right? And it actually gets me off the couch and gets me to do my exercise. It gets me off the couch and gets me to do my walk.
You repeat it to yourself every day. I would consider that a mantra.
Almost, yeah. Well, no, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Use a mantra.
So for those of you who don't know, a mantra is a phrase. It could even just be a single word that you repeat to yourself on a regular basis. So it could be that, you look in the mirror when you wake up and be like, you're beautiful. I love you. And regardless of whether or not you believe it, the mantra is set up in a way to help you achieve a certain state of mind or feeling. So you might not love yourself, you might not think you're beautiful, but the more you repeat that to yourself, the stronger those feelings will be until you do believe it, in fact.
Yeah. Well, listen to the man, he's right. No,
honestly, that is a great way to look at it. I never even considered that, just do it. It's so simple. It's so fucking simple, but it's so genius.
Do you reckon this is the conversation they had in the Nike boardroom?
Just do it.
Just do it. It's simple, bruv. We can sell it to millions.
What kind of fucking slogan do you want me to come up with? I don't know, man. Just do it. Fuck.
Wait.
Hold on.
I swear to God, bro. I swear to God.
Gosh.
But that's what I mean. That's kind of what I'm getting at, though, right? I mean, there's a reason that is the slogan. It's a reason it's a mantra, because that is the one thing you need to do, is do it. Whatever you need to fucking accomplish, you know what you need to do. So stop bitching to yourself, stop making yourself feel like a piece of shit, and just go down, put the fucking fork down, and fucking do something.
It's funny you say that because I feel that like some people might argue that they're not sure of what they need to do, but you need to understand that no one can answer these questions for you because like he said, you know what you need to do. These answers are inside you. If you feel that something is wrong in your life, I can't tell you what that thing is because you're the one with the feeling. So if you feel that there's something wrong, you need to be the one to make the change. Like he had said before, I felt that my thoughts, my feelings, and everything were being clouded by my overuse of smoking. No one else could tell me that, and even if they could, until I felt it in myself that I needed to make that change, it wasn't gonna happen.
Mm.
What the fuck is going on here? The fork? Talking about eating disorders, actually. So, here's something funny enough. I bet you wouldn't even know that I actually have an eating disorder myself.
Me
I
or your chat?
undereat. Pardon?
Me or your chat? Because I know.
The chat. Yeah. So I actually suffer from an eating disorder myself, and it's something that I've been trying to work on a lot recently. I got depressed maybe 5, 6 years ago, and during my depression, I just had no motivation to cook or take care of myself in any way. And so I would just eat like maybe 2 to 3 bowls of cereal a day, and that was all I would eat. I might have like some fried food here and there, which was even worse.
Delicious.
But I it's not even something I really considered to be an eating disorder, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that under eating was such a big problem and that it contributed to my lack of energy and feeling sluggish and weak, and in general I almost saw eating as something to be done to get out of the way. You know? Like it was a waste of my time almost.
This pesky nutrients.
Yo, no, honestly, and it's like I have it in my mind that if humans did not have to eat, I would not. Like it would just be a luxury of some kind.
Yeah.
That I just don't have the time for.
Yeah. No, I hear you,
It's
man.
scary to think that it's way more common than most think. Yeah, it is. It's not wrong. Like it is a very common issue that people deal with, and again, I feel like it's not really like eating disorders are talked about a lot, but I want to say that they're not exactly, rather that they're frowned upon almost, you know? It's like, oh, just put the fork down. It's like, oh, just pick the fork up. It's like, if it were that easy, you think we wouldn't do that, you know?
Yeah, no, I hear. Yeah, exactly, man. No, it's like I'm obviously myself. Obviously, I've got a history of eating disorders quite clearly. And yeah, it is a constant vicious cycle, brother. It really is. Don't get me wrong. Like it can be anything that triggers your eating disorder. For you, with it being underfeeding, is quite interesting. I think there's more of an interesting spin to that, especially something I read as well is like something like I think 60% of, and I know you're not American, but this is the statistic I read, was 60% of American people are actually underhydrated as well, right?
Really?
Yeah, like there's a lot of people don't realize how dehydrated they actually are, which like blows my mind.
That is insane. Yeah, like I make sure to drink so much water every day just because I don't want to get dehydrated.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, man. Honestly,
That's interesting.
Hence this big blue monstrosity. Right, seriously, man.
And then here I am drinking coffee, and I haven't had a single sip of water all day. Tisk tisk.
For shame. Get some water down you, bro. Actually, there's a study that came out recently in the Times. 50, what was it? Coffee actually halves your metabolism. Like it,
Really?
if you start your day off with a cup of coffee rather than a glass of water, it slows your metabolism by 50%.
I was completely unaware of that.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. So like I'm gonna I'll stop having a morning coffee now, and I'm just gonna have like a pint of water, and then like I don't know, like 10 a.m. even, then I'll have a coffee or something just to perk me up. But yeah, if it's gonna slow down my metabolism first thing, especially like because once you've just woken up, which for those of you on a weed break at the moment, waking up is something you do after you've had sleep. And when you do,
What is the sleep that you speak of?
so when you wake up, right, you are currently at that point when you wake up, you're in the middle of a fast, and that lasts until you eat, obviously. So
Yeah.
if you can boost the last, I don't know, like half hour of that fast with water to speed your metabolism up, do that shit. Do that, because then you're gonna burn extra fat cells, or you're not gonna burn the cells, obviously, but you use more of your fat reserves. Especially if you're like trying to lose weight, or just in general, utilizing some of your fat is just hugely beneficial.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And funny enough, people don't seem to realize that like the first meal of the day is actually called break fast.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally, like, because English is not a difficult language, bro. It's very literal.
It really isn't.
It's very literal. It's like German. German is like so fucking like it's just the words Germans use, right? Like fucking
Yeah. I do both. It's bonkers. I can eat a bag of prawn crackers. We aren't taught enough. Wake up, smash a pint of water is what I was told. Never do that myself, but no, I should. Well, if you know that you should, why don't you, Bex? Why don't you? Ain't nobody gonna smash a pint for you.
Well, they might. I mean, she lives in Leeds, so there's plenty of glassing going on.
Yeah.
It's like Jim Jeffries has the best like joke, and he goes, "England's the only country in the world that has the word glass as a verb."
Oh my god. Yeah, that's kind of funny.
Yeah. Oh mate.
So, I don't know. I've realized recently that it's actually very hard to tell when people have eating disorders. I mean, sometimes it is quite obvious, but a lot of times it really isn't. Like, I had someone in my life who, for months, I did not know, like almost a year, I did not know that they were bulimic. They hid it very well. And they didn't look underweight or unhealthy or anything like that.
Yeah.
But they suffered from this self-image problem.
God damn.
Yeah. And that kind of woke me up to the reality of it, that like things aren't always as obvious as seeing them with your eyes,
Yeah. There's the sausage. Sorry. Yeah. No, sorry.
No worries.
Yeah. No, absolutely, man. I mean, like, it's a very. That is the strange thing with bulimia, is you would not know that a lot of people have it, right? I mean, I think I saw it recently. It was like a thing. I think it was Tyson Fury. Oddly enough, had bulimia. Like, he'd throw up after meals. And he said, like, he was like, it's fucking crazy. Just, especially, like, people in the spotlight tend to find eating disorders are a huge part of their life, because they're constantly told to keep up an acceptable image, shall we say.
Yeah, no, I get that completely.
Yeah, but as you can see, I mean, as it said with your, what was it, your family member, was it?
It was an ex, actually.
Ex, all right, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to think you.
No, just throw all my personal information there, no worries.
Fucking shut up. Right, so, yeah, so, it's strange how something like that can...
Take care, Bex.
Bye, Berks. Thanks for coming in for 2 minutes. Why'd you fucking bother? We're trying to build here.
Such an ass.
So anyway,
oh gosh.
Yeah. So the fact that it like manifests itself in everyday, day-to-day people is fascinating to me, because that speaks volumes on the pressures that we put on people to conform to a perceived normal image, right?
Yes.
And it's just terrifying that it manifests itself in such a way that people feel the need to self-harm, to conform to normalistic body standards, or just, societal norms. And it's crazy, because there is no rule book that says how you should look. There is no guide on how a person should present themselves. Every person is unique, and to be honest, the people that stick out in my mind more are the ones who don't look like the perceived norm, the ones who wear the different clothes, the ones who have the different hair, the ones who just act a little different. They're the people that stick out in my mind.
I know exactly what you mean. It's funny you say that. I can't remember who said this, but they were basically saying that the media and society has us convinced that we should all be trying to fit into this single standard of beauty when every person is their own standard.
Exactly, man. Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy thing, right? I mean, one of the biggest fears I had, right, just to tie this into my own experiences, one of the biggest fears
Hmm.
I had going live on stream for the first time was I had a negative self-image, right? Like, I thought and felt I was the ugliest motherfucker on the planet. I just didn't belong. What the fuck am I doing putting my face out there for the world to see? And the opposite happened where like I got compliments regularly about my beard, or like, like for some like I became popular with the gay community because I'm referred to as a bear, and I didn't, which is like
Check
crazy.
your posture, good sir.
Check your posture. Oh god damn it. But yeah, so like I got and it's stuff like that that gave me a positive self-image, right?
Hmm.
When people are actually coming in and complimenting me, saying, "Oh my god, you beard," blah 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 blah, and that's at the point where I realized it's all bullshit.
It really is.
Yeah, it's
And then another thing is like you might look at yourself a certain way, but that does not mean that others do, you know?
exactly, brother, exactly. I still have a negative self-image, but I've got a fiance who like she knows what she wants in life, right? So if I if I didn't,
And apparently that's you.
yeah, exactly, man, right? So that's something I would advise to anyone who's struggling with their self images, right? You know, when you grow up and your parents always tell you, or like they always told me anyway, don't worry, there's someone for everyone. And it's like that's very, very true. You find someone, man, because
Yeah.
there's no rule book on how to be attractive. There's no rule book on how to present yourself in life. Do you, and you'll be amazed at what you find.
I agree with that. And um Dan Harmon, the creator of Rick and Morty,
Yeah.
he said that he suffered with depression quite a bit in his life.
Hmm.
But something that someone said to him really stuck with him and has helped him a lot. And it said that your feelings are real, but they aren't reality. So as much as you may feel that you are a piece of shit, you're still a fucking human being. You're not an actual physical piece of shit, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
And that could be applied to almost anything.
Yeah, exactly right. Like I feel for it's a very very poignant thought. It really is, because for example, I feel depressed a lot. Does that mean I'm depressed? No. I myself as a human, I'm not depressed, but I have a mental condition that makes me perceive that I am. It's a very
Exactly.
it's crazy, like the magnitude of that statement. It's very interesting, and it's
Right?
yeah, no, I love it. I love it. It's the
Yeah.
first time I've
Another
heard of that.
thing that I've learned because of what you just said actually reminded me is that the way we use words and our language really strongly affects our thoughts and feelings. So by saying I'm depressed, it's like you're making yourself depression rather than saying I am a human that suffers from depression or suffers with depression or deals with these things, you know?
Mm.
Like we aren't our thoughts or our feelings. We observe them, we experience them, but we are not them. They are of us.
Yeah, man, that's why I always recommend people need to have a disconnection from their ego. Like, the sooner you
Mhm.
disconnect from your ego, the sooner you can realize what you need to change about your life, because you can look at yourself completely objectively and go, right, this needs to change, this needs to change, this needs to change.
Exactly.
You need to take out the self, how you feel about it is irrelevant. You need to take that mindset out of it. You as a person ultimately don't matter, not in a horrible way, but ultimately in the grand scheme of life, you just don't matter. So once you realize that, you can start to build on your own thoughts and feelings and go,
It's
right,
such a beautiful realization too.
yeah,
I
exactly.
think so
Yeah,
anyways.
it's very,
Because to me it's like it's almost like The Incredibles where it's like with everyone super, no one will be. Well,
mhm,
it's like if nothing matters, then everything does, you know? And what
exactly.
matters is what matters to you personally.
Yeah,
And that's all I
yeah,
think.
that's the thing. There's a lot of nihilism can go two ways, right? It can go like where you realize ultimately that nothing matters and you like curl up in a ball and just wait to die, or you can go, hey, fuck it, nothing matters. Let's see what we can
Do
do.
whatever you want.
Let's see what we can do here. Let's have some fun with this shit,
Exactly.
right? And ultimately,
Yeah.
that's how you need to approach your life, right? I mean, you can't you can't take this body with you. You can't take this life with you. Fuck it. Have fun. Enjoy yourself. You ain't gonna be around for long, man. So just fucking turn this rental
Yeah,
car in
no, I
wrecked,
agree
bro.
with that completely.
Yeah.
So, in conclusion, what would you say are the most important things for people to take away from this?
Don't listen to me or Brian.
I need new guests. Like now.
I I I am the best guest you could have asked for, bitch. No, if people want to take anything from this, it's you need to stand up and account for yourself as a human being and really take stock of your life and look back and think, right, what can I do to improve myself? And do it completely objectively, right? Completely objectively. What's funny?
What you just said in chat.
It's awesome. I just
I
wasted.
just wasted an hour of my life now.
Like
Oh.
I have to kind of like move my camera because like I've got my camera right in front of my monitor. So,
Okay.
Because
Okay.
I've set up, so I'm like, huh?
Oh, jeez.
No, man, but for real, yeah. Take account for yourself and just realize your thoughts and feelings don't necessarily dictate who you are as a person. Your actions dictate who you are as a person. And if you make positive steps in life to push yourself and achieve everything that you want to achieve, you will definitely get where you need to be a lot quicker than trying to manifest these thoughts and feelings as anything else, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. One last thing that I would add is that something that my dad taught me from the time I was young is that the mind is a creature of habit,
Mm.
and it forms habits unconsciously, like we were saying with earlier. But because it is a creature of habit, it takes maybe 1 to 2 weeks to form or break a habit. And as long as you can power through those 2 weeks to form a positive or healthy habit, then you don't really need to keep putting that effort to focus on it because it's now a habit. You'll just do it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, something that ties into this for me is my sobriety. When when I first, I didn't even intend to go sober at first. I was literally I just didn't drink for like a month, I think. And then I thought, well, fuck it, you've made a month. Let's try and do another month. And then I did another month. And at that point, right, after about 3 months, the idea of drinking just didn't interest me whatsoever. And like, I get the occasional urge to like, I want a beer. But as I sit before you now, as God is my witness, I literally have no interest in drinking anymore because it's just not who I am, because I changed my entire mindset through, positive reinforcing of that habit of I don't drink
Yeah,
anymore.
that's awesome. Yes, you may, Salt. And that actually reminds me that, like, of something that I felt the same way about. It's like, I I started smoking at a time where, like, it served something for me. It served a purpose. But I continued to smoke even though it outlasted its purpose.
Hmm.
And so, if it's not serving me, why would I continue to do this thing, you know?
Yeah, man, that's what happened with drinking and doing drugs to me. That was kind of the realization where I wasn't getting anything out of it anymore. I used it
Like
as
a
a,
crutch almost.
yeah, exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, I used it as a crutch because you've seen my sobriety video. That's what I discovered about myself, was I was using it as a crutch for my own insecurities about my inability to socialize effectively. And the more I grew as a human, and the more I just started to become an adult, as it were, I got my own house and stuff, and the more I
Yeah.
realized, like, the more I had people around me not drinking, the more I realized I didn't need to drink to be a sociable person. And once that realization hit me, I was like, oh, right, okay, cool. Yeah, fuck it. Let's not drink.
Yeah. No, I get that completely. I used to be the same with weed. Like, I would smoke in almost every social setting. And if anything, that made me more antisocial than anything else.
Because you were the weed guy, right?
And, I mean, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, people had this notion of me, of who I was. And it was like they didn't see anything outside of that. And it also was like just really just wasting my time, you know? I spent so much
Mm.
time smoking that I actually missed out on social things, you know?
Yeah, exactly, man. I had that with alcohol, right? Where I'd sooner get drunk in my room rather than go out and build something with someone. You know,
Yeah,
even if
exactly.
it's just reinforcing a friendship, I would
Hmm.
sooner isolate in my room than do that.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Okay, one moment. So something I learned in sales. If you hang around successful and happy people, then you will find yourself changing as well for the better. I can relate to that statement on such a deep level. See, I agree with that 100,000%. You need to surround yourself with the kind of people that you want to be like or that are going to lift you up and raise you. And that's why I don't keep friendships just for the sake of friendships. As rude as that might sound, if someone is stagnant in their life, if they're not pushing me to be better, if I'm not pushing them to be better, I don't see why we need to have each other in our lives. And that could be harsh, that could be cruel. It's not to say that I don't love these people, it's not to say that I don't care for them and that I won't be there for them. It's just that I'm not going to waste my time just doing things to do things with friends if we're not progressing or growing together as beings.
And see, that's interesting because like one of my favorite things to do is just drop in on my friend and just check up on him. But there's ultimately
Hmm.
all that does is just reinforce the friendship. There's no goal there. There's no ultimatum. There's nothing. No ultimatum. There's no
But you're helping
ulterior
them,
motive.
no?
Yeah, if you want to put it that way.
Like you're I mean, that's not to say that I don't check up on my friends,
Sure
but what
sounds
I
like it,
mean is
Brian.
like what I'm saying is by you reaching out and checking up on your friends, they feel that someone cares about them.
Mm,
That someone is taking the time out of their life to reach out to them specifically.
yeah.
I would argue that that is helpful. But what I mean is like I don't want to hang out with like the same people all the time just playing video games or just not doing anything
Mm,
productive because why? Like, where are we going? You know?
yeah, which I mean, to put it in a context here, I mean, like our friendship is very much based on growing as content creators, right? Like
Yeah.
every time we talk, we're pretty much just like we either shoot the shit just to check up on each other, or we're just like, right, I'm going to be doing this. What do you think of this? Blah 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 blah. And you know, that's fucking awesome that there is something to that. That's I like that shit. There's a purpose to it, you know, and it does.
Exactly.
You know, that everything needs to have a purpose in life for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that when it comes to those kinds of relationships, the purpose for me would be challenging each other. I've always loved when people challenge me to be better than I was, and I love challenging people to be better than they are. You
Oh,
know,
you fucking do that with me every fucking day.
all the time,
Yeah, no, I appreciate
all
it
the
though, man.
time.
I appreciate that, man. You bust my balls, I bust your balls. It works.
I
And it's
had.
go on.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was saying, and that's what you need, right? Like, I always have respect for people who keep it 1,000 with me, and just like,
Hmm.
especially like, this is why I gravitated to you, because I talked shit and you talked shit back. I can respect that. What I can't respect is somebody like getting in their feelings or just being like, whatever, you know, fuck it. Like I like someone who goes, yeah, fuck you too, pal. Then it's like at that
I
point
mean,
I'm
yeah.
like, this guy's got something about him. I'm gonna pay attention to him, right?
Oh man, yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Mm.
Real quick, I had two near-death situations with drugs, and after the second time, my body was like, "No more drugs." I actually lost all craving for it. Wow. So your body just straight up told you no. That's something.
That's
I
enough,
actually had a
motherfucker.
near-death situation myself, but it wasn't like I was doing too much. Like I just fucked up. I had a Gravol early in the morning. I had a beer late in the evening, and I almost died apparently. So
Wait, you had
yeah,
a what?
a Gravol. It's like an anti-nausea drug.
Oh right,
So
okay.
like,
Were you doing that
yeah, I
for
took one of those.
anti-nausea or for recreation?
No, for anti-nausea. I was like feeling sick in the morning when I woke up. So I
Hmm.
took a Gravol,
Yeah.
and it helped, right? And then later on in the day, so like this was in the morning, like I want to say 9, 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And then around 6 or 7 p.m., I went to a barbecue with a friend, and I had like one can drink. It was like 6%. And I felt fine the whole day. And then I came home and I went to sleep and I woke up in the middle of the night, like dripping in sweat. I could hear the blood rushing through my ears. I had to almost crawl to the washroom just to like fucking sit there with my towel and try to puke. And then I had to crawl back to my bedroom and I couldn't even make it. Like I can point to the washroom. It's literally there's no wall in between my door and the bathroom door. And I had to lay down in the little hallway there just because I didn't have the energy to get back to bed. And it was insane.
You sound
And
like
after that, like the scariest part of that for me was like my mom waking up and seeing me like fucking dripping sweat, looking like I'm dying. And I made it back to bed, and maybe I shouldn't have gone back to sleep, but I did. And yeah,
what the
I'm here,
fuck?
so I mean, there's that. But I have not taken an anti-nausea pill since. In fact, I've always been against pills and pharmaceuticals in general, to be honest. I don't know why. It's not like my parents are. It's just something that I kind of developed myself.
I like what you've taken out of that is, oh no, it's definitely the anti-nausea pill, which you were fine with the whole day until you drank the fucking beer, and you went, right, okay, no more anti-nausea pills.
I mean, like, I don't drink anyways. That was just like because I was at a barbecue. That's a story. I never did anything hardcore.
That's good to hear.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
good
see,
to hear,
I've
Sol.
never done like hard drugs. I guess like maybe no, I have done cocaine once in my life, and that was like literally just an accident. Not okay. No, it's not like I didn't just accidentally. Whoa, where did that come from? No.
Oops.
I was at a buddy's house and we went to go play some video games, and I opened up the video game case and I was like, whoa, what's this, buddy?
Do you want to try?
And he's like, oh, huh? And I was like, all right, let's give it a shot. And I just hated it. It was a very dirty feeling, to be honest.
No, man.
I fucked up and smoked that synthetic stuff when it came out, and it put my body into shock. Oh, yeah, no, I would stay away from all synthetic things, to be honest. I only fuck with natural things that grow from this planet, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Bro, that synthetic shit is fucking lethal. There's a kid who used to go to our school, and he got sent down to jail. And there's video footage of him smoking like synthetic cannabis in jail, right? And almost seizing, right? He's almost seizing, smoking this shit, right? He's in like a fucking corner, and the people are filming him, right? Obviously, this is how the video go out. People are filming him, and he's like eyes in the back of his head, fucking foaming at the mouth, trying to fucking like get up, because the people filming him are also like, they're not helping. They're telling him the screws are coming any minute, right? And he's like panicking.
Wow.
He's panicking. He's like near enough fucking dying, and they're just filming it and laughing. And I was like, bruh. Like,
That's like a huge problem with our society today. Is like we would rather just film people hurting than help them.
Well, I think
And I find that to be such a shame.
that is true, but let's consider the setting here. I mean, it was a fucking prison. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
do
but then
anything for
you're
entertainment.
getting judgmental, right? Like you're expecting every person in that prison to be a bad person who's not going to be helpful. Maybe they're there wrongfully. You know, I'm not saying that they're all good people. I'm just saying that like even outside of prison, you could go on World Star right now and find videos of people literally getting like concussions, getting injuries that you're gonna need hospitalization for, and people are just recording, yelling World Star and laughing instead of actually caring about this other human being.
Which is fair enough, but just to like the prison thing and judging people if they're in prison, I completely agree. But this is a North Wales prison. We only incarcerate criminals. We're not like America where we like shoot black people and incarcerate them just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
We
that
literally we incarcerate bad people in Britain.
Okay, yeah.
We don't just.
I guess, yeah, I do have this misconception of like what prisons are like around the world, simply because I know that in Canada and North America in general, that like, yeah, people are wrongfully imprisoned all the time, and there's all kinds of people who I don't think should be imprisoned, to be honest.
No, 1,000%. I completely agree. It's fucking like your private prison system is fucking disgusting, and
I'm in Canada. He's in the UK.
Yeah, I'm in the UK, and in the UK we don't have private prisons yet, but it is going that way, and we're fighting it. We're fighting it because it's inherently wrong. Because if you have prison for profit, then obviously you want to encourage people to break the law. It's just the inherent nature of the system. So, yeah,
it's funny. That's something I had read about. I don't know how true this article was, but I had heard about a story.
Is this the hip hop thing?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
remember reading that.
exactly that.
And they're
Where
like,
they're
the
basically
record
talking
execs.
about how like all these record executives got together in this meeting, and they're basically like the people who own the prisons were basically saying that they want to take hip hop and rap music in a certain direction to promote crime, so that they will have people committing more crime and more people to lock up, therefore making more money and getting more free labor.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy, right? Because I don't I don't believe conspiracy theories, but the evidence is there.
Yeah, it's like it's right there.
It's like,
Around that time is when music started taking that turn, you
yeah,
know?
it's like, oh, suddenly every fucking rap song is guns, bitches, and bling. And before that, it was fucking like A Tribe Called Quest.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's fucking
You live in the death penalty state? Oh man.
rough,
I don't
brother.
know about the death penalty. Like that to me, it's like unless you've done something absolutely horrendous, I don't think you deserve to die. But I guess like I just feel like who am I to like cast down judgment on another person's life, you know?
Well, this is the inherent
If you
problem with
fuck
it.
up here, then you get in the injection. Ugh.
The injection's fucking disgusting. Um, Nobody has the right to hold trial over another person's life, and we can't claim to be a civilized society if we're still like killing people, right? What is
Exactly.
But the issue that you have there is what is a civilized way of punishing someone? There is no civilized way of punishing someone. So then you need to look at, right, how do we stop people from committing offences in the first place? And then when you look at that, that's like, right, okay, well, we're never going to go that route because we have private prisons. There's just like, too much
Exactly.
money.
Like
There's too much money.
making sure people's needs are met would be a huge thing.
Exactly. Education.
But yeah, and rather rehabilitation than punishment.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah.
We need to understand why people are committing crimes, not that like the crime is happening. Okay, lock them up. You're just putting a band-aid on the problem.
And in certain instances, the law that has been broken is just bullshit, right? Like, for example, possession of marijuana, for example. I mean,
There are people who are still locked up in Canada for possession of marijuana, not even like distribution. Okay?
mhm.
And now it's legal. So why are they not free?
Well, because
You know?
then you're gonna lose your license plate makers, pal.
It's honestly so sad.
Yeah, man. It's
And to me, I agree with that in that like I feel that some laws are just put in place for control rather than actual safety and like, keeping things civilized rather. If I'm not infringing upon someone else or like hurting any other human being with what I've done, why do I deserve to get 25 years just for having a fucking plant in my room, you know?
exactly right.
Like,
Because ultimately, right, the slave trade in America didn't fucking stop. They just renamed it and rebuilt it and repurposed it. So now it's like, right, okay, we've got all these, millions of black people in America now, right? So we don't like, we'll abolish slavery, but then we're gonna lose the slaves. So what should we do? Let's make a bunch of bullshit laws and incarcerate them for every fucking thing we can, and then just
Yeah.
like, I tell you what, we'll make it so you can use your prison inmates. You can pay your prison inmates, so long as you pay them even a cent, then you can use them for your own ends, and you can use them to work.
Yep.
It's
So-
fucked, bro.
Poor Haven says, I agree with the possession charges, but with the death penalty, then the problem becomes there is no punishment strong enough to deter certain crimes. I would argue that even with a death penalty in place, people still commit crimes that could lead them to a death penalty, so obviously it is not a big enough deterrent. Why even bother with it?
Yeah, it's clearly not, because it's not like, yeah, exactly. The crimes haven't stopped. People still kill.
And I would also argue that most crime happens because a lack of need is being met, right? I'm not going to say that every single person who's committed a crime has like just been trying to survive. There are people who are sick who need help, and I would argue that they need rehabilitation rather than punishment and imprisonment. But I would say that like if people's needs are fully met, if they have the shelter, the mobility, the food, everything that they need to survive and be comfortable in their lives, why would they feel the need to go out and commit crimes such as murder or robbery or anything like that? You know?
Yeah.
Again, like I said, they're sick people, but they need rehabilitation, not punishment.
Exactly, man. Crime is created by desperation for the most part. There are some people who are
Exactly.
just greedy. You know, you will get people who, like, I don't know, middle class people robbing a bank, for example, might just do it for the fuck of it. They might just do it because they want more money than they already have. But for the most part, I would argue a lot of the people incarcerated in American prison systems have just stolen something because they need money. They have robbed someone because they need money, you know, completed home
Mm-hmm.
invasions, whatever. And a lot of the homicides, for example, would be someone like shooting someone just because somebody happened to be there in the way and they were fearful that they would get caught. So you'd shoot them
Yeah,
because you're like, right, okay, if it comes down to it, it's my life or yours. I'm sorry, but everyone's gonna pick
exactly.
their own life every time.
Exactly. It's literally our base instinct of
Yeah,
self-preservation. And Core says because some people are just evil. I argue that and I will that is my hill to die on because I honestly believe that no human is born evil and that we are born with like compassion and love in our hearts. All we want is our moms. You know, we don't want to hate each other. We don't want to fucking fight or attack. We're not Saiyans. And it's like to say that people are just evil, well then you're completely ignoring what caused them to become evil. What got them to that point that you would consider them evil.
yeah,
And then are evil people just not worthy of life? Is that how you look at it?
mm, yeah,
And it's like yeah, no one is born evil. There are circumstances in people's lives that lead them down a certain path and which you would consider evil, you know? But that doesn't mean that they're any less worthy of living or getting the same kind of treatment or rehabilitation than anyone else in the world.
yeah, man, for real. Like, it's such. You could probably pinpoint. You can pinpoint a lot about people just by looking back at certain actions in their childhood.
Hmm.
If something happens in their childhood that is specifically traumatic, 9 times out of 10 that shapes them as a person for the rest of their days. And
Yeah, I was actually learning that the first 5 years of a child's life are the most formative in their personality and everything, and it will directly affect how they are as adults.
yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, I mean, like I dabbled in psychology in school, and
Hmm.
that's pretty much the basis of it is your entire personality is essentially built in those first 5 years, and then
Yeah.
like you know it's like one of those things where it's like 95% of your personality, and then obviously like your speech inflections and your generalized thoughts, but your very core is established at that point.
Yeah. And I actually came across this video on YouTube, which was quite disturbing. It was about child psychopaths.
Mm,
Basically, children who were denied love, denied care, denied any kind of like, denied the necessary things for a child's development, basically, emotionally and mentally.
mm,
And to hear them talk is actually unsettling because they were denied love,
mm.
they do not understand love and they cannot give love. They just don't grasp it and they don't have any empathy inside of them. And it's not their fault. It's because of what happened during those first 5 years of their lives. So you could consider them evil because they're lacking empathy, because they're lacking love, and they care only for themselves. But then, do they deserve punishment if they go and do something when it's not even their fault that they are the way they are? You know?
Yeah, man. No, like I remember I read recently about this guy who did these experiments on fucking on monkeys on I think it was what's the monkey that begins with C like capuchin like capuchins and
Okay.
shit, and he was the fucking he was driven because he wanted to help people at first, right? So he did these
Mm-hmm.
fucking experiments on monkeys, which are still fucking disgusting experiments, like monkey psychology and shit like that.
Yeah.
The effects of withdrawal on withdrawal of love and affection at a young age in a young monkey, right? They invented these two they had like these two surrogate mothers they invented. They took the monkey from its mother at birth, and
Okay.
then made two surrogate mothers. So you had one which was, it had light and warmth, and it was like cuddly and soft, and one that was
Yeah.
sharp and horrible and
Cold.
yeah, exactly right. The monkey would always go to the warm one, even when the monkey had no food given to it other than from this sharp, cold, like evil mother. What would
Wow.
happen was it would run to the mother, grab the food, and then run away from it, and then either hide in a corner or go back to the warm mother every single time, without fail.
Wow.
But this is where things get fucked. This Don, he he hit a bout of depression, right? His wife left him and he went into a deep bout of depression. So he started doing experiments on monkeys with depression, right? So how do you induce depression in an animal? In theory, you can't, right? So he intentionally induced depression in monkeys by putting them in this thing called the pit. What the pit was a confined area, like in a hole in the ground, and it was literally all the monkey could do was stand still in this pit. That's all it could do, and he'd keep them there. I think the long, like he said, like the documentation of it was like without fail, every monkey got depression, without fail. In
I mean, yeah. What kind of existence is that? Jesus.
Yeah, like he would keep them sustained with nourishment or whatever, but every monkey eventually would withdraw and give up on life, and he kind of proved at that point that you could have depression in animals when it wasn't known before that animals could suffer with depression, right? It wasn't really an understood subject until he just decided, like, because he did it for his own benefit, right? He wanted to understand if depression was specifically a human thing or not. But like after the first experiment, at that point he was just torturing monkeys.
Yeah.
Like he's just put these monkeys in. The longest he kept one in there was like 2 years, and
Oh my god.
yeah, 2 years just stood up, like, and just like force feeding it because it gave up eating because it wanted to die. And
That's sickening.
it's fucking disgusting. It's horrific, man. And yeah, I kind of lost where I was going with it, other than like it's the yeah, no, it started off as like the mother thing. Like about the mothers, but
Yeah.
then like
Yeah. No, that makes
I
sense.
remember this thing,
And it's
like,
all about those formative years.
yeah, exactly.
So, Cora said, "Well, I believe that continually trying to find out why some do evil things is a good thing. I also believe that trying to find a source for every action slowly makes people forget that humans are capable of evil acts for no justification. I believe what separates us from animals is our ability to override instinct and learned actions."
It's interesting.
I'm not going to argue that human beings are capable of doing evil things without any justification. Like, there are people that could, walk into a store right now and just start shooting for whatever reason. But I'm not saying that whatever reason they have is justified, but you do need to understand what got the person to that point. And if you don't, then you'll never understand the problem, and you'll just say, oh, well, people just do evil things for no reason. And I can't believe that, because we're not born evil. You agree with me on that. We're not born evil. We are not evil creatures. We don't just do evil things for no reason. There's always a reason behind someone's actions. Whether or not it's justifiable is completely up for debate, but I would argue that there is always a reason, and you need to understand the reasoning and what is causing people to do evil things before. But we can become evil for no reason. I disagree with that. I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
No, there's always a cause.
There's always a cause, no matter what.
No one just
It's not
wakes
like
up and just...
I'm just going to wake up tomorrow and be like, you know what? I want to go kill people because it'll make me feel good. No. If it does make me feel good, that means that there's something wrong with my brain, because as we know, human beings normally don't get pleasure from killing other humans. And if they do, there's something wrong.
Well,
What is wrong?
for example, Ted Bundy, right? He just like he started.
What up, rap kid?
He's,
Sorry.
it's alright. Ted Bundy. Hey, kid. Anyway, yeah. So, Ted Bundy, like he started killing, raping women because of his own insecurities, with like being unable to. Wasn't it like he got divorced really early in his life, or like he was hung up on a girl? Like,
Mm.
yeah, he was hung up on a girl. Like some girl rejected him very early on in his life, and it scarred him for the rest of his life, or something like that. So he killed people that looked the same as this girl, or around about the same age. I could be paraphrasing like fuck, but I'm fairly sure it's something to do with that. Like, there's always
Yeah, no,
a
I
deeper
understand that.
cause. There's always a
Yeah,
deeper
there is
cause.
always a cause. Like nothing in this world happens for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah,
There's always reasoning.
yeah, exactly, man. Every cause has an action. It's like the butterfly effect, right?
Exactly. Such a good movie.
I still haven't seen it.
What?
Yeah. Well, I
Get
was
your shit together and go watch it.
get my shit together and go watch Ashton Kutcher. All right, bro.
Okay, why'd you have to put it like that?
Because when I put it like that, it completely negates your argument.
God damn it. It's honestly probably his best movie ever.
Why, have you seen them all?
No, actually I haven't.
So how do you know?
Now that you say that. Because it's worth watching. I don't know. When animals kill for sport, they are considered apex predators, any relation to human behavior. Okay, first of all, animals do not kill for sport. The only animal that kills for sport are felines and humans.
And dolphins.
Every other animal... Wait, oh yeah, and dolphins. And whales, I think? Whales are just dicks.
Yeah, dolphins literally
From what
kill
I've
for
heard.
fun.
Yeah, so dolphins, felines, humans, and whales. They are the 4 species on the planet that we know of that kill for sport.
But other than
Everything
that,
else kills for survival.
what have the Romans done for us?
Right? So like, for instance, alligators, they don't kill just to kill, they kill to eat. You know? Everything does something for a reason. Dolphins are actually pretty aggressive animals, not gonna lie. Felines are animals. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like cats. Cats kill for fun. Just because. Like they like the sport of the hunt. Dolphins are mammals, yes.
So,
Dolphins are the dicks of the sea. Yep. And if you're not careful, you'll get the dick of the sea too. They are well known for raping humans.
I was gonna say, yeah, dolphins are like fucking dumb rapey, man. Like,
Yeah, they're actually kind of terrifying.
yeah, that's like
They are still animals. So are we. Yes, but what like I'm sorry. I think I might have missed your point. Could you like rephrase it or reiterate it in some way?
bro. But yeah, no, dolphins, widely thought to be the cutest motherfuckers on the planet, actually horrifying rape murder animals.
Yeah, like they're terrifying, and they're really intelligent too. So good luck getting away from them.
Yeah, and they know they're doing it.
So you don't think there is any biological factor,
In what, murder or evilness?
in murder of like each other? Okay, well here's the thing: dolphins don't kill other dolphins for sport. You know,
They might do.
they kill other animals, but like, and we kill other animals for sport. We hunt, don't we? But to like murder your own kind, no, I'm not sure that they do that. And with the exception of humans, none of them would be considered apex predators. That's another thing. Except maybe like a tiger.
Killer whale.
I think that's like what. Yeah, killer whales. Yeah, killer whales could be considered apex predators. But even no, wait, do they have anything that they're worried about?
Killer whales.
No, I know. I'm saying like, do killer whales have anything above them?
No, apart from humans.
Okay, so they're the top of the food chain except for us. We put ourselves at the top of every food chain because we have tools and technology and things like that.
We are
Besides humans,
we
yeah,
are
no.
a global super predator.
Yep. Kind of disgusting.
Well, I don't know. You can't be disgusted with the nature of humans, man. It is what it is, right?
Oh shit! When you put it like that, you're so right.
That's just like, it is what it is, isn't it? You know, it's like then.
And even lions kill cubs. Okay, no, male lions will kill cubs of other male lions because they want to like further along their own genetic their own genetic lineage.
Yeah,
It's not just because they want to kill them for fun.
yeah. They're not inherently evil.
But they killer whales don't really kill for sport. I mean, I've seen like documentaries of a group of killer whales stopping a seal from going up for air and then watching it drown and then just swimming away and not even eating it.
Whales are dicks, bro.
Yeah. from what I've seen, whales are just dicks.
Yeah. glad we've come to that conclusion.
Oh man. Yes, this was actually the whole point of the podcast. Whales are just assholes.
Yeah. Are you gonna be the
male lions kill their own cubs too? Okay, but I would still argue that that's not for sport. It's not like they're getting. Okay, first of all, you gotta consider what is sport. The hunt, the chase. Like, where is the sport in killing a cub that literally is defenseless against you? There's reasoning for it besides sport. And that's to put all females in heat. See? If there's no cubs around, the females are going to want to make cubs, they're going to go into heat, and then that lion is going to reproduce with those females and make its own lineage longer and stronger.
I know it's not inherently evil because it's the nature of the lion, but still, that's kind of fucked up, killing kids so you can get some pussy.
Yeah, that is really fucked up. Like, I'm not saying it's not fucked up, but it's not for sport.
It's like right? Fucking chimps do it, don't they? Like, when they're in the jungle, chimps will fucking, like, kill baby chimps. They'll literally tear them apart limb from limb, just for a fuck.
It also reduces challenges for leadership. Yep, that's another thing.
Honestly, same.
So, like, it holds reasoning and meaning. Jesus Christ. It holds meaning besides that of they just want to kill for the sake of killing, you know? And I honestly, other than the species that we've named, I don't think there's any others that want to kill for the sake of killing. I don't think humans want to kill for the sake of killing. And I think if a human does want to kill for the sake of killing, that there is something neurologically wrong with them, because as we know, the majority of humans do not enjoy killing each other, or else we would not be where we are today. We would all just be fucking killing each other all the time just for fun, you know?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, we kind of did for a bit, right?
I mean, yeah, back in, like, barbarism, it always served a purpose other than just sport or enjoyment, you know?
Yeah, I think, like, as we've become modern, you know, I think the idea of killing people for the fuck of it, or killing things for the fuck of it, has come through a bit more. Like, killing things, and I'm talking, like, in the last 500 years or some shit. I'm not talking, like, ancient times and shit, but there definitely seems like we're victims of our own decadence in a way, right?
100%.
You know, it's like, right, we've done everything. Shall we just fucking, like, I don't know. I wonder what duck vaginas taste like. Let's just make duck lips a delicacy.
Jesus Christ.
Humans are fucked up, man. Humans are fucked up.
You're not wrong.
Like, I think we're just bored at this point as a species. We've done everything.
It's funny you say that. Like, I was talking to someone about, like, so I brought up this position that, like, why do we grind? Why do we play video games all day? Why do we grind out our jobs? Why do we do these things? And it's like, because we have this deep psychological and spiritual emptiness inside of us, and if we weren't grinding things, we would absolutely feel nothing at all. And so it's gotten to a point where we're just doing things to do things, to feel something. And like you said, it's like decadence, right? It's like, we've done so much, we're so bored with existence, why not just see what else we can do or make of it?
Exactly, man. That is like...
Ever hear of Rocky Mountain oysters?
I have.
What the fuck is that? Oh, God, yes, hold on. You explain to me what those are. Gross.
It's a fucking delicacy, bro.
I would not be surprised if there's a recipe for that. Oh, Jesus.
But yeah, no, like...
Apparently.
I mean, honestly, like... I'm struggling to see the point of the human race at this point. Not in, like, some fucking nihilistic thing. Allow me to reiterate this. So, the next big thing for humanity as a species is go to space, right? I think that's widely accepted. That is what we need now as the next step in our evolution. All right, cool. What do we do after that? We just go to that,
right?
Go to a planet.
Do we just continue on the way we are?
Yeah, we'll go to that planet, and then what are we going to do? Eat everything there, and then we're going to go to another planet and do the fucking same.
Yeah. See, it's funny you say that. I was reading a book called The Celestine Prophecy, and it was talking about 9 insights that humans will come to over the course of generations. Basically, like, it's about this dude's trip to Peru, finding this manuscript. Apparently, it's, like, true story. I don't
Sounds
know.
like a real page turner.
No. It's honestly really good, and it talks about how to understand where we are today,
Yeah.
we need to understand history. And to understand history, we have to put ourselves back into the shoes of people who lived like 1,000 years ago. So 1,000 years ago, as we know, the Crusades happened, and Christianity basically
Das
dominated the world. So that being said, as far as everyone knew, whatever happened on this planet was the will of God or the malice of the devil. But then you saw churchmen, clergymen. First of all,
Churchman.
common people like you and me, weren't able to read the sacred text, nor did we understand the language. So we just had to go based off of what people were telling us, right? And then you find out that these people are lying, or that they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing. They're getting bribes from or like they're bribing the government so that they can do whatever they want or whatever, you know? And that threw like the whole world into question, because if they're lying about like things like money and whatever else, what else could they possibly be lying about? And that is like around the time we sent out our scientists and our explorers to discover the world that we live on, who we are, why we're here, and all those things, and that we're still coming back with the answers, and like this is around the time in which we will start getting those answers and then progress to our next step in evolution. But that will only happen if we don't blow ourselves up first.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, even if we do blow ourselves up, it's not gonna fucking matter, is it? Who gives a shit?
No, I mean, the planet will go on just fine.
Like, honestly, like, I could care less if it all ended tomorrow.
I think that's a beautiful way to live, to be honest.
Like, yeah, fuck it. You know, what happens, happens.
Exactly. And just enjoy every moment as it comes.
Exactly, man. If, like, it happens tomorrow, I've got no regrets.
Yeah.
Like, I that's one thing I can say to myself with confidence. I don't look back and think, I should have done this differently, I should have done that differently. I just, like, I'm happy with every choice I've made in life.
That's good. That's fucking great, even.
Yeah.
And, like, yeah, I feel like holding on to regret is kind of silly, because it's not like you'll ever be able to change anything that's happened.
No, mate.
And accepting it is just so much easier than holding on to that pain or that regret and just, like, letting it eat away at you, you know?
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, I mean, why... Don't cry over spilled milk is the analogy, right? It's like...
Yeah, and learn to let go.
Yeah.
Learn to let go. That's one of the hardest things, I think.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, for sure. There is literally... Just anyone who does have, past regrets or what have you, anyone listening now, don't. Because, right? No,
just don't.
Just don't. God, what are you, fucking idiot? Why am I gonna spell it?
Oh my God, Ross, you have just solved my life's problems.
Exactly. No, right. I mean, because like I'm sure there are people who have regrets in life, and I can understand it because I used to be one of those people who regret every decision they made. But you need to realize there is no change in the past, and you need to look at where you are now and where you're going, and how those decisions in the past have shaped who you are today, and look at it and be happy for what you are. You know?
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
I was gonna go on more, but like I just kind of ran out of steam. It's just like...
I mean, honestly, no, like that's a perfect analogy. All right, so you know what? Let's wrap this up, Ross. I want to thank you for coming on today. This was actually super productive, and we covered a lot more topics than I expected. See, this is what I meant. I didn't need to set up fucking questions like, oh, it's gonna be a shit show. We just flow, bro. We just flow.
Yeah, man, we do work so well together, and I wasn't too concerned about like missing the Liverpool game because like I've had it on anyway, and they are.
I can tell
they are getting fucking dicked. So that's what I get. That's what I get for laughing at Man United.
Man.
But on a serious note, thank you so much for having me on, man. It's interesting being on the other side of these things.
I bet.
Yeah, it's different. It's refreshing. Let me tell you, because like I was like, right, I don't have to worry. I can just shoot some shit. I can be a dick for 2 hours.
Pretty much, yeah. All right, so
it's good fun.
I'd like you to give a conclusion. Anything you want to say, really doesn't have to be based on anything, and then also plug all your socials and all those things.
Oh, right, okay. So, in conclusion, life is a big scary mess, and the sooner you accept that, the sooner you're gonna realize that you can have an absolute blast living it. to reiterate the point from earlier, you do not get to live forever. So live for the moment, do what feels good now, keep one eye on the future, never keep the other one on the past, and just enjoy yourself, man. It's the best way you're going to get out of this thing with even a modicum of happiness. And as far as for my socials, it's just RossRickson everywhere.
All right. I think that is a beautiful closing statement. And thank you so much, Ross, for being my guest.
Hey, no problem. Thanks so much for having me on, man. Got a lot of love for you, bro.
Likewise. Well, everyone, that is our show for today. And I want to thank you all for coming by. I want to thank you for your input. And I really appreciate everything that we talked about. And I'm sorry if I couldn't get to every message, but I will be back on Thursday. And if there are things that, I missed or topics you want to talk about, we can catch up and talk about those things. So thank you again, everyone. I hope you all have a great day.
It's up to me.
I'll see you
I'm
again
better.
soon. Until next time, stay high and stay noble. Take care.